Welcome to Life Lessons, a space where timeless wisdom meets everyday challenges to help you lead a calmer, more fulfilling life. Today, we'll explore 5 timeless Buddhist lessons to overcome suffering, teachings that can reshape how you approach the struggles of life. But before we dive in, let me ask you, have you ever felt weighed down by pain, whether it's emotional, mental, or even spiritual? You're not alone, and the path forward might be simpler than you think. Buddhism offers profound yet practical insights into understanding the nature of suffering. These lessons aren't just for monks or philosophers, they're for anyone searching for clarity and peace amid life's turbulence. In this video, you'll uncover actionable steps to free yourself from the cycles of anxiety, disappointment, and frustration. Whether you're dealing with personal challenges, professional stress, or just trying to find more balance in your life, these teachings hold the power to bring real, lasting relief. Here's a glimpse of what we'll cover. You'll learn how attachment fuels suffering, why compassion is the antidote to anger, and how mindfulness can ground you in the present moment. Each of these lessons is not only timeless but also easy to apply, no matter where you are in life. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with insights that can help you let go of what weighs you down and embrace what sets you free. If this resonates with you, don't just stop here, help us spread these life-changing lessons. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who might need it, and subscribe to Life Lessons. Together, we can create a community of individuals striving for personal growth, inner peace, and shared wisdom. Let's start this transformative journey right now. 1. Understanding the cause of suffering. At the heart of Buddhist philosophy lies one of its most transformative teachings, the understanding of suffering and its origins. Known as the Four Noble Truths, this cornerstone of Buddhism offers profound insights into why we suffer and how we can transcend it. The first truth acknowledges a simple reality: suffering is an inevitable part of life. From physical pain and emotional challenges to the dissatisfaction that comes from unfulfilled desires, suffering is something all humans experience. However, recognizing this truth is not about resignation or despair, it's the first step toward finding peace and freedom. Why do we suffer? Buddhist teachings highlight that suffering is not random or inevitable in every sense, it has specific causes. The second noble truth reveals that the root of suffering lies in attachment and craving. Attachment arises when we cling to things, people, or ideas, expecting them to remain unchanged or fulfill us indefinitely. Craving, on the other hand, refers to our constant desire for things we don't have, believing they will complete or bring us lasting happiness. Consider how attachment plays out in daily life. You might cling to a relationship, fearing its loss and constantly worrying about maintaining it. Or, craving might show up as the relentless pursuit of material possessions, thinking the next purchase will make you happier. While these feelings are natural, they often lead to disappointment, frustration, and pain because the external world is always changing, nothing stays permanent. The role of impermanence. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is a fundamental truth of life. Everything, from relationships to possessions to emotions, is temporary. By resisting this truth, hoping things will last forever, we inadvertently create more suffering for ourselves. For example, if we expect a joyful moment to never end, its eventual fading might leave us feeling empty. Understanding impermanence doesn't mean rejecting life or its joys, it's about approaching them with acceptance and balance. When we embrace the idea that all things are transient, we can begin to let go of our unhealthy attachments and experience peace in the present moment. How attachment leads to suffering. Imagine holding tightly to a rope that's being pulled away from you. The tighter you grip, the more strain you feel. Similarly, attachment creates tension in our lives. Whether it's clinging to a past memory, obsessing over someone's approval, or resisting change, attachment keeps us stuck in cycles of suffering. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that letting go of attachment doesn't mean giving up on relationships, passions, or goals. Instead, it's about approaching them with non-attachment, appreciating them for what they are without relying on them to define your happiness or identity. Overcoming craving. Craving is the constant desire for something different, more money, more recognition, or even a better version of yourself. It tricks us into thinking that happiness lies somewhere else, in something else, or someone else. But, as the Buddha taught, satisfaction doesn't come from accumulating more, it comes from contentment and acceptance. Cultivating mindfulness can help quiet the cravings that lead to suffering. For example, instead of yearning for a new job, you can reflect on the skills and opportunities you already have. Instead of craving the latest gadget, you can practice gratitude for what you already own. Finding liberation from suffering. The third and fourth noble truths offer hope and guidance. Suffering can be overcome by following the Eightfold Path. This path consists of practical principles for living a mindful, ethical, and purposeful life. Key elements include right understanding, right intention, and right mindfulness, all of which guide you to live with clarity and balance. These teachings remind us that while suffering is universal, it is also surmountable. By addressing the root causes, attachment and craving, and practicing awareness, compassion, and acceptance, we can gradually free ourselves from its grip. Applying the teachings in daily life. Understanding suffering doesn't require you to retreat to a monastery or drastically change your life. Instead, it starts with small, mindful steps. Pause and reflect. When faced with discomfort, ask yourself, what am I clinging to right now? Practice gratitude. Shift your focus from what's missing to what you have. Embrace change. Recognize the beauty in impermanence, how it allows growth, renewal, and new possibilities. By integrating these principles into your daily routine, you can begin to transform your relationship with suffering, turning it from a source of distress into a pathway for growth and understanding. Buddhist teachings don't promise a life free from challenges, but they do offer a roadmap for navigating them with peace and wisdom. 2. Practicing compassion and forgiveness. One of the most transformative teachings in Buddhism is the practice of compassion and forgiveness, both toward ourselves and others. These principles are not just moral ideals, they are powerful tools for overcoming suffering and finding inner peace. Suffering often stems from holding on to resentment, anger, or guilt, but when we embrace compassion, we allow healing to take place. Why compassion matters. At its core, compassion is the ability to see the struggles of others and respond with kindness rather than judgment. In Buddhism, compassion isn't just about being nice, it's a path to liberation. When we open our hearts to others, we let go of the rigid barriers that separate us, allowing us to experience a deep sense of connection and understanding. Think about a time when someone wronged you. Maybe it was a harsh comment, an unfair decision, or a betrayal that left you hurt. The natural instinct might be to hold on to that resentment, replaying the moment over and over in your mind. But Buddhism teaches that clinging to anger only fuels suffering. The more we dwell on past hurts, the heavier they become in our minds and hearts. Instead of carrying that weight, practicing compassion allows us to see the situation differently. Maybe the person who hurt you acted out of their own pain, ignorance, or insecurity. When we recognize that suffering exists in everyone, including those who hurt us, we shift our perspective from judgment to understanding. Forgiving yourself and others. Forgiveness is another essential aspect of overcoming suffering. We often think of forgiveness as something we offer to others, but self-forgiveness is just as important. Many people carry guilt over mistakes, regrets, or decisions they wish they had made differently. Buddhism reminds us that self-criticism only prolongs suffering. We must learn to forgive ourselves in order to grow. A helpful exercise is to ask yourself, would I offer kindness and understanding to a friend in my position? If the answer is yes, then you deserve that same kindness for yourself. Mistakes and imperfections are part of life. They are not permanent marks of failure but rather opportunities for growth. Similarly, forgiving others is not about excusing bad behavior or allowing mistreatment, it's about releasing yourself from the emotional burden of holding on to resentment. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean ignoring boundaries, but it frees you from the grip of past pain and allows you to move forward with peace. How to cultivate compassion and forgiveness in daily life. 1. Practice loving-kindness meditation. Spend a few minutes each day silently wishing happiness and healing for yourself and others. You can repeat phrases like, may I be free from suffering. May I find peace. Then extend those wishes to loved ones, strangers, and even people who have hurt you. 2. Shift perspective. When someone upsets you, take a deep breath and ask, what might be causing their behavior? Instead of reacting with frustration, try to understand their pain. This doesn't mean condoning harmful actions, but it helps soften anger and bring clarity. 3. Release self-judgment. If you find yourself dwelling on regrets or past mistakes, remind yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. Self-forgiveness allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary guilt. 4. Let go of resentment. Holding on to grudges is like carrying a heavy bag that weighs you down. Set an intention each day to release anger, not because the person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. The power of compassion in overcoming suffering. When we live with compassion, suffering loses its grip. Imagine how different life would be if, instead of reacting with resentment, we responded with understanding. Compassion and forgiveness transform suffering into wisdom, allowing us to navigate challenges without unnecessary pain. Buddhist teachings show us that every person carries struggles, whether visible or hidden. By choosing kindness over judgment, we lighten our own suffering and contribute to a more peaceful world. Instead of waiting for others to change, we can change how we perceive them. That shift alone is enough to bring freedom. Each morning, remind yourself, today, I will lead with compassion. Today, I will forgive, not for others, but for my own peace. With that mindset, suffering begins to fade, and a sense of inner harmony takes its place. 3. Living with gratitude, the key to finding inner peace. Gratitude is one of the most powerful yet overlooked teachings in Buddhism. It has the ability to transform suffering into contentment, frustration into peace, and dissatisfaction into appreciation. In a world where we are constantly chasing more success, more wealth, more recognition, it's easy to forget what we already have. But Buddhism teaches that true happiness doesn't come from accumulating possessions or achievements, it comes from learning to appreciate the present moment and all that it holds. Why gratitude matters in overcoming suffering. Suffering often arises when we focus on what we lack rather than what we have. We feel restless because we want a different life, a better job, or more recognition. However, when we shift our mindset toward gratitude, we begin to see the abundance already present in our lives. Instead of feeling incomplete, we feel whole. Instead of chasing happiness, we realize we already have it. Buddhism teaches that gratitude isn't just about recognizing the good things in life, it's about accepting life as it is. Whether we're experiencing joy or hardship, gratitude helps us remain grounded, reminding us that every experience holds value. Even difficult moments can teach us important lessons and help us grow. The link between gratitude and impermanence. A core teaching in Buddhism is impermanence, the idea that everything in life is temporary. This includes both suffering and joy. When we deeply understand this, we begin to appreciate the fleeting beauty of each moment instead of taking it for granted. Consider this: when you drink a cup of tea, you don't expect it to last forever. Instead, you savor each sip, knowing that it will soon be gone. This is how we should approach life, with gratitude for the small moments before they pass. When we practice gratitude, we stop clinging to the past or worrying about the future. We allow ourselves to fully experience life right now, appreciating the people, opportunities, and even challenges that shape us. How to cultivate gratitude in daily life. Gratitude is not just a fleeting emotion, it's a mindset that can be cultivated through daily practice. Here are some Buddhist-inspired techniques to help integrate gratitude into your life. 1. Morning gratitude reflection. Each morning, take a few minutes to reflect on something you're grateful for. It can be as simple as waking up in a warm bed, having food to eat, or being given another day to live. By starting your day with gratitude, you set a positive tone that influences your mindset throughout the day. 2. Appreciate small moments. Buddhism teaches that happiness is found in the little things: a smile, a quiet moment of peace, the sound of birds chirping outside. Instead of constantly seeking something bigger, find joy in the small moments happening right now. 3. Express gratitude to others. One of the most powerful ways to practice gratitude is by expressing it. Thank the people around you, whether it's a friend, family member, or stranger, for their kindness. Gratitude strengthens relationships and spreads positivity to those around us. 4. Turn challenges into lessons. Even in difficult times, there is something to be grateful for. Instead of resenting challenges, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When we view hardships as opportunities for growth, we reduce suffering and gain wisdom. 5. Let go of entitlement. Sometimes, suffering comes from the belief that we deserve more than we have. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from accepting and appreciating what already exists rather than feeling entitled to something better. The transformative power of gratitude. Gratitude allows us to live with less resentment, less anxiety, and more joy. It reminds us that happiness doesn't come from external conditions but from how we perceive life. By shifting from a mindset of scarcity to abundance, we find peace and fulfillment. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful." This simple yet profound perspective shows us that gratitude can be found in every situation. No matter what happens, there is always something to appreciate. 4. Letting go of unrealistic expectations. One of the biggest sources of suffering in life comes from unrealistic expectations, expectations of ourselves, of others, and of how life should unfold. Often, we set rigid standards for happiness, thinking that if certain conditions are met, we will finally feel at peace. But Buddhism teaches that the path to true contentment lies not in controlling outcomes, but in letting go of expectations that create unnecessary stress and disappointment. Why expectations lead to suffering. Have you ever hoped for something to happen exactly as you imagined, only to be disappointed when reality didn't align? Maybe it was a job promotion, a relationship, or a personal goal that didn't turn out as planned. When we base our happiness on external circumstances, we set ourselves up for suffering. Buddhism teaches that attachment to expectations is one of the main causes of mental distress. Whether we expect people to behave in a certain way, or anticipate life unfolding without obstacles, we create a fragile foundation for peace, one that can easily be shattered when reality doesn't meet our demands. The truth is, life is unpredictable, and people are complex. The more rigidly we hold on to expectations, the more frustrated and disappointed we become when things don't go our way. Learning to let go does not mean lowering standards or giving up, it means approaching life with an open heart and accepting what unfolds with equanimity. Recognizing attachment to expectations. Letting go begins with awareness. Ask yourself, do I get upset when things don't go as planned? Do I expect people to behave according to my standards? Do I believe I will only be happy when I achieve something specific? These are signs of attachment to expectations, a mindset that can limit joy and increase suffering. Instead of waiting for life to be perfect, Buddhist philosophy encourages us to find peace in imperfection and embrace reality as it is. Practicing non-attachment to expectations. Letting go of unrealistic expectations doesn't mean rejecting ambition or goals, it simply means reducing dependence on external outcomes for happiness. Here are some ways to practice this daily. 1. Accepting uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and the more we embrace uncertainty, the easier it is to adapt without stress. Instead of fearing change, view it as an opportunity to grow. 2. Responding, not reacting. When life doesn't go as expected, instead of reacting with frustration, pause and ask yourself, is this truly a problem, or just a deviation from my expectations? Perspective is everything. Many disappointments are simply mental constructs rather than actual barriers. 3. Practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches us to appreciate the present moment rather than dwell on what should have been. The next time you feel yourself stressing over unmet expectations, take a deep breath and focus on what is happening right now, not what was supposed to happen. 4. Letting others be themselves. One common expectation that leads to suffering is wanting people to change or behave according to our preferences. But Buddhism reminds us that everyone has their own path, struggles, and perspectives. Instead of trying to control others, practice acceptance and understanding. 5. Shifting from should to could. Instead of telling yourself things should have happened differently, try thinking things could have gone differently, but this is the reality I have now. This small shift in language reduces attachment to expectations and fosters acceptance. Finding freedom in letting go. Letting go of unrealistic expectations creates space for peace and emotional freedom. Imagine waking up each morning without rigid demands on how your day should unfold. Instead of stressing over small setbacks, you simply move with the flow of life. That is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, finding happiness in adaptability, not control. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, but freedom comes from embracing things as they are. When we stop expecting the world to conform to our desires, we open ourselves up to greater possibilities, joy, and inner balance. 5. Practicing mindfulness, finding peace in the present moment. Mindfulness is one of the most profound and practical Buddhist teachings that helps us overcome suffering. At its core, mindfulness is the practice of fully experiencing the present moment without distraction or judgment. It teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise, instead of being consumed by them. In a world filled with worries about the future and regrets about the past, mindfulness offers the rare gift of clarity and peace. Why mindfulness is key to reducing suffering. Much of our suffering comes from being lost in thoughts, ruminating over past mistakes or anxiously anticipating the future. Have you ever noticed how, even in quiet moments, your mind is racing with worries, regrets, or plans? This mental noise keeps us disconnected from the beauty and simplicity of now. Buddhism teaches that life is happening in this very moment, yet most of us live in a mental space far removed from the present. Whether it's stress about an upcoming deadline or frustration over an argument that happened days ago, these distractions keep us from fully experiencing life. Mindfulness shifts our focus from what we can't change to what we can embrace, right now, in this moment. Observing thoughts instead of identifying with them. One of the biggest misconceptions is that mindfulness means eliminating thoughts. But Buddhist wisdom tells us that the mind will always produce thoughts, it's simply its nature. Instead of fighting them, mindfulness teaches us to observe them without attachment. Imagine sitting beside a river, watching the water flow past. If you see a leaf drifting by, you don't need to chase it or grab it, you just watch it float away. This is how we should approach our thoughts. Instead of clinging to negative emotions or anxious thoughts, we can simply acknowledge them and let them pass without being controlled by them. When we practice mindfulness, we stop identifying with every thought that arises. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," we learn to say, "I notice anxiety is present." This subtle change reduces suffering by creating distance between our emotions and our sense of self. Mindful breathing, a simple yet powerful practice. Mindfulness doesn't require special equipment or hours of meditation, it can begin with something as simple as breathing. Right now, pause for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, notice how your body relaxes. This is mindfulness in action. Breathing is one of the most accessible tools for staying present. It anchors our awareness in the moment, helping us step away from overwhelming thoughts. If you ever feel stress rising, take 3 deep breaths and observe how your body and mind begin to settle. Daily practices to cultivate mindfulness. 1. Mindful mornings. Begin your day with intentional awareness. Whether it's drinking tea, stretching, or simply sitting in silence for a moment, give your full attention to the experience rather than rushing into distractions. 2. Single tasking over multitasking. Multitasking divides your focus and increases stress. Instead, engage fully in one task at a time, whether eating, working, or speaking with someone. 3. Body awareness. Throughout the day, check in with your body. Notice how you feel physically and emotionally. This keeps you grounded instead of being lost in thoughts. 4. Mindful walking. When walking, instead of rushing, feel each step, notice the sensation of movement, and appreciate your surroundings. 5. Grateful reflection. At night, take a moment to recall something you appreciated during the day. Gratitude strengthens mindfulness and reduces suffering. The power of being present. Mindfulness is the gateway to peace. When we stop dwelling on the past and worrying about the future, we experience life as it truly is, a series of moments, each waiting to be fully lived. With practice, mindfulness allows us to respond to challenges with calmness, enjoy everyday experiences more deeply, and cultivate a sense of lasting inner peace. So, as you go about your day, remind yourself, the present moment is all I ever truly have. Let me embrace it with awareness and gratitude. In this space, suffering fades, and peace emerges. Conclusion: transforming suffering into peace. Suffering is not an unchangeable reality, nor is it something we must carry forever. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that pain is a part of life, but it does not have to define our existence. The lessons we've explored in this video offer a way forward, a path to letting go, embracing compassion, and finding lasting inner peace. Each of us encounters struggles, heartbreak, and uncertainty. But within these challenges lies an opportunity to grow, to see life from a new perspective, and to cultivate a sense of serenity even in difficult times. Letting go does not mean giving up, it means freeing yourself from the weight of expectations and emotional burdens that no longer serve you. It means choosing peace over resentment, clarity over attachment, and acceptance over resistance. Practicing gratitude, mindfulness, compassion, and forgiveness allows us to navigate suffering with strength and wisdom. When we shift our perspective, we realize that peace is not something distant or unattainable, it is within reach, waiting to be embraced. The more we integrate these timeless teachings into our lives, the lighter we become, and the freer we feel. If this video has brought you new insights, help spread these powerful lessons by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Life Lessons. Together, we can create a community of growth, wisdom, and healing. Begin your journey today, free yourself from unnecessary suffering and step into a life of deeper peace and understanding. Let's walk this path together.